from more times as I'm dealing with the stupid cough thing.
Dude, I had to well, welcome all you home service homies. Jonathan Maynard in the house here. Bringer of awesome is it I read it on the screen here. That's good. Bringer of awesome. I like that. I was supposed to have like kiddo sports practice tonight, and I was taking Reggie over to Conquer Ninja Warrior. Like there's the American Ninja Warrior show on TV, and there's all these gyms around. And so like Danny's in competitive ones. Reggie's just in like a once a week class. Danny's really fun. Danny has practice like twice a week for an hour and a half. And she's 7, but the competition has like 6 through 9-year-olds. And she was just mopping up 9-year-old boys and like literally sending a few away in tears. And I was just like, man, I'd be crying too, dude. Like I would have been. I was just a big crybaby whenever I lost. But we had to backpedal on Reggie's practice tonight. I got her like halfway there, and I was like, you're just coughing all over the place. I was like, I can't take you to this thing. You're gonna get literally like 20 other kids sick.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But
good.
It's that time of year, man.
It is.
It's starting to go around.
Yeah, I get sick like one time a year. If I get sick at all, it's usually skips a year, which is nice.
Well, get it out now before we got like important ice fishing stuff to do. And
heck yeah.
So, let's see. I gotta make this post. I gotta figure out how to make this post public. I think there's a way to do it, and then people can like share it and stuff. How do you do that? Edit privacy.
Ooh.
Public. There you go. All right, all you nerds out there. Now, if you want to share this into groups and such, you are allowed.
Boom. I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share it now.
At least I can do it on my live feed. I don't know if I can do it in the home service happy hour group. I don't know. Who knows? My Facebook reel, my Facebook page must be so boring because it's just like Dan was live. Like because I don't post anything else. It's just all Dan was live. Jairus checking in. Jairus is our producer. He says, "Oh look, you're live again." I had the radio show earlier, and then Kalfus and I, who says hi by the way.
Hey.
Kalfus and I flew out to Detroit a few weeks ago, and he and I had like all these things we wanted to record. And then there just was never enough time. So there's like a recruiting topic and an interviewing topic that we never got to. And then we rescheduled it 3 other times. So that was why I was running late, because I just spent an hour yapping with him. And you know me, I can't stop talking. So I was like, shit, like I actually have to go, because Maynard's probably wondering where the hell I'm at. But I made it. We're here.
Yay. Yeah, we're doing it.
We're time to do a show. How you been, man? It's good to see you.
Good to be seen. I have been 2023 was a year of travel for me. I think I was on more airplanes this year than I was the past like 3 years combined. It was.
I noticed
ridiculous.
that every time I saw or heard from you, you were somewhere else, and I was just like, "Oh, this guy's just out stirring it up, doing cool things."
Yeah.
Was it good travel? Bad? I don't know if there is bad travel. I guess it could be bad. If it was funerals, it's bad travel.
Well, I think this last one is where I got sick. I was flying back from Seattle on the red eye, which is it's the worst flight. But
why did you like choose that flight on purpose?
Well, yeah, for a couple of reasons. One is because otherwise I'm flying back the next day because I had to be there for a late afternoon meeting. And then otherwise I just have to stay in the hotel again another night. And then I wake up and then I spend the whole next day traveling back home. So that day's gone anyway.
And you're like going against the clock, right? So it's like your time traveling. Yeah.
It's a 5-hour flight. And then you lose another 3 hours with the time change. So that just sucks.
That does suck.
So
you might as well just be traveling international at that point.
Yeah. Really.
And actually that probably is like the worst jet lag.
Yeah, it's bad. I can be in Dublin, Ireland faster than I can be in Seattle. It's stupid.
That's horrendous.
But
well, in that case, let's go have a pint.
Yeah.
Except we're both drinking water tonight, so maybe not.
Yeah, I got my water. So yeah, I've been in Seattle a bunch. I bought a fire and flood restoration company that closed back in July 1st. And so I've been up there like 4 times, I think.
Like you bought it on purpose, or you bought it by accident, or how,
no.
Like it closed, and was it like a salvage type of purchase, or was it a business you had your eyes on, and like how did that work? What's going on?
Okay. Yeah. So a guy that I had met in a mastermind probably a year and a half ago approached me in probably Q1, Q2 is Q1. Um, he said, "Hey, I've got a fire and flood restoration company that I've been looking at, and we looked at that one, and the deal didn't shake out. I didn't like the numbers, and it was weighted too much in one particular for one particular customer, which is a little dangerous when you're buying a company.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe that's not the best one. And then this other one popped up, and it was like, okay, yeah, it looks solid. They did in 2022, I think like 7.5 million or something like that in revenue, and then their EBITDA was they were showing like a million in EBITDA.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, it's
Yeah.
decent little
Sounds
company. Let's
respectable.
so we went in there, worked a deal, and then closed. And we did some pretty creative financing where we had a lot of seller carry, and so I got a little lazy with the due diligence because I'm like, I'm not that at risk, and everything's going to be fine, and everything. You know, I looked at the books and I was like, okay, all this, you know, kind of makes sense. Um, and then realized, oh, this is a dumpster fire. That's awesome. So we put the dumpster fire out. We've got the ship righted, I believe. Hired a CEO to come in, and that's been great. He's been in place for uh, about a week now. So that was my last trip up there. I was up there a couple weeks ago. Did
Doing
the
the
final
final
kind of
interviews and stuff.
onboarding, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so got that guy. We had a really just cool you know, situation, and super cool dude, West Point grad, spent time in the army, got hurt, and then after that kind of went into the business space, which is what he liked anyway. Went to London Business School, which was super
Right.
cool. I didn't realize. I was like, oh, that's kind of hoity-toity. So he went in person in London, did that, and then worked as a chief of staff for a PE firm for a while. So he's used to kind of the turnaround space.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, you're my dude. You know, just super aggressive dude, like mid 30s, gentle with the staff, which is what we needed, and then just very aggressive with the numbers and you
Heck
know,
yeah.
looking for all the creative stuff. So that was a super good hire. And yeah, so far hitting the ground running, and we'll see what comes out of it.
That's exciting stuff, man. What I heard you say was we bought this business and then it closed. What I think what you actually said was we closed on this business.
Yeah,
But what I had originally heard was like, oh, this business closed and then we bought it, and I was like, something seems goofy here. But now it makes a hell of a lot more sense. This is what my wife dislikes about me is I just kind of like hear what I want to hear instead of
yeah.
hearing.
Oh, mine too. Yeah. So yeah, that's been fun. That was my first like really big
I
acquisition
was gonna
like
say
by
that's a
myself.
nice sized business. That's a nice sized business there.
Yeah, and so it's doing really well. It's such a profitable industry, especially on the mitigation side. Now it's mitigation and reconstruction. So we actually have we're a contractor. We could build houses if we wanted to, which is crazy. Don't
Yeah.
want to do that, but
But if you had to, if
if
the
we had
world
to, we could build a
if shit
house.
hits the fan, we might start building some houses.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I've been doing that. Been traveling to Phoenix. There's just been a lot of events in Phoenix, and then I got to hang out with Tommy Mello a couple times at his place, and that was
Nice.
super fun. Did his event in Orlando. You know, had fun there. Just been having fun. Been going, just traveling, speaking.
What's your favorite trip that you had this last year? What was the best one? You got to pick one.
You know, oddly enough, I say oddly enough, it's not oddly enough. The one that I had the most fun at was the my last Phoenix trip, the one a few weeks ago, and that's
Is that where
because
you and Michael Gregory sent me a picture and he's getting all doped up on Bloody Marys?
oh yeah, yeah. So we were out there at Top Golf, and playing. So me and Gregory got to hang out, and it was just a fun trip, and I usually don't have fun on business trips. I'm so like focused on things, and then my family's at home, and I'm just I don't like to be out.
Mm-hmm.
And this one it was special. I don't know. I just had a really fun time with him, and Caleb Winterger was there.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was just that like the three of us were just like the three amigos, just hanging out, just having fun. It was great.
I dig it. Well, now I'm a little jealous that I missed it.
Mm.
But I do think you convinced Gregory to come ice fishing. I think he's in. He
Oh,
he
awesome.
wasn't sure if the dates would work out, but then I just kept guilting him. I just kept
Oh
throwing
yeah.
guilt on him. Mike Maharris checking in.
Oh, Mike Maharris.
I mentioned some ice fishing. He said the hard water show is this weekend. I don't think I might go because then I would just buy shit and then that would cause problems. And that's like, I mean, I'm really, unless they're selling Bush Light, there's nothing for ice fishing that I really need besides more Bush Light. I think I got everything else.
You got everything else.
And there's probably better places to buy Bush Light. Ron Musgrave's checking in. What's going on, Ron?
What's up, bud?
So you got the restoration business. How I mean, are you really just an investor in it? How active does that role feel for you? And you said I didn't gauge. I'm just going to ask because I don't want to assume that I heard you correctly. Is it a partnership or is it just you solo as the owner, and then you hired the CEO and you're the owner of it?
So it's a partnership. Myself and my buddy Jeff, the guy that I met at the mastermind.
Gotcha.
So we each own 45%, and then the other 10% is the previous owner. So he bought back in.
Oh, cool.
And in order to get that second bite, because the plan is to take this. We originally thought this was going to be our platform company, which is the company that you start like bolting on other ones to.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized, okay, probably not this one, unless we can get it really dialed in the next little bit. The team is really awesome up there. So yeah, that's what I really enjoyed. Is that the GM that is there just knows everything about the industry. His only downside, if there was one, and it's even self-admitted, was he's like, I don't have the bandwidth, skill set, whatever to take this team to the next level. And so it's like, okay, well, I can get you a buddy, we can get you somebody up there that can help you with that. But it's been this one's been a learning experience. They're all learning experiences. This one is different because I didn't build it. So, my other companies I've built from the ground up. So I know the inner workings. I know everything. I know where all the skeletons are and where all the bodies are buried. Well, this one you walk in and it's like, I got to find the skeletons. So we went in and we found them. They made themselves known pretty quick, but it's good. You have to get creative with stuff like that. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
I can tell you that. But would I do it again? I don't know right at this moment. It's kind of like having a baby, like if you ask a woman, hey, are you going to have another baby? They're going to, right after they give birth, they're like, no, I'm never doing this again. This baby's crying in the middle of the night. And, but after a while, that kind of, you forget about that and you get all the good stuff. And then you're like, okay, we could do this again. So
yeah, that sounds like me with starting a brand new bookkeeping business. Like I swore I was never going to start another company from scratch. And then here we go. And I'm like,
yeah,
I knew about all these things.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have, and it's fine. But and I don't know if it was like a lack of appreciation for all the things you need to do when you start a new business, but it's like, oh my God, I forgot about this. And I forgot about that.
Hang on, I got to build a web page. Oh crap.
No, I don't have to. Michael Gregory has to actually.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But what I do need to do is actually like fill out his form to do that. I haven't needed a website yet. So, because I just keep making this is for anybody out there that needs some bookkeeping, best damn bookkeeping. This is my website. Is this me doing this?
Just thing right here. Yeah.
Just reply to this and we'll have a chat. But for people that don't know me, I probably do need a website at some point in time. It's probably just going to be a logo of a beer can. Be like, yeah, what's up? Like, what's up? Give me a call if you want some bookkeeping. But I do need to do that at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all the little things. Luckily it's not taking it was taking quite a bit of my time the first quarter, like July through probably I don't know, about a week ago when we hired the CEO, I guess. So
I
maybe close to 2 quarters. Yeah. And it's the little things that you're having to fill out, just all the stupid paperwork, and then it's always the things that come and get you. We got one a notice from like the state, and it's like, oh, by the way, your bond is canceled right now because you didn't fill out this form and put your new ownership on there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay.
Nothing's better than a letter from the state, dude.
Oh, I know.
By
It's
that, I
awful.
mean nothing's worse. Well, I guess if it's from like the federal government, that one could be worse.
Yeah.
Jamie Schmidt checking in says, "What's
What's
up, awesome,
man?
dude?" I think he is watching a different show, and then he just commented accidentally on our show. But we'll
Yeah.
take it.
We'll take it. We'll
Take
take
the
it.
awesome dudes. Jair says, "Best damn bookkeeping, the best damn bookkeeping in town." That was actually a Bobster. That was a Bobster name. Because he was like, you should call yourself the best damn bookkeeping company around. So when clients are like, hey, who do you use for bookkeeping? They'd be like, well, I use the best damn bookkeeping company around, which that made for a long URL.
Yeah.
So I shortened it up to best damn bookkeeping. I was going to go with, and I was getting my buddy Ben Smith. You know Ben Smith.
I love Ben.
He pulled a Bobby on me because I was like, Ben, I think I'm going to go with this name. And he's like, you mean this one? And he totally had bought the domain already. And I was like, you jackass. Like total Bobby Walker on me.
Oh my gosh.
It was the other name, the runner-up was bookkeeping. And that was just gonna be it. But it was like, well, is that 3 B's or 4 B's or 7 B's? I own 3, 4, and 5 B bookkeeping domain. Because I told Ben, I was like, maybe it's 3, and he's like, well, 2 is already taken. So I think we own a few bookkeeping domains. Look at this guy. Look at this future ice fisherman checking in.
Go!
Like
Look
great
there.
Must watch television. Jai giving him a fist bump. Thanks for checking in, guys. Brad Williams in the house. Hey,
Brad. Hey, I do have to talk to Bradley. Brad, I had a conversation earlier. Your name popped up, so I was like, I got to talk to that guy again. We're doing some super cool stuff at the Huge. We're already working on. So
Brad and I had a meeting to like kind of frame up like, okay, how are we gonna who do we need there? What's this gonna look like? So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spill any beans. But there's be some cool stuff.
That's gonna be fun.
I'm pumped for it. So you got the new restoration business. You mentioned it already, but I like that industry a lot. The only thing that I think, and I'm sure you already looked at this, but the only tricky thing with that industry is like it's kind of insurance dependent. And some of the jobs are tied to insurance, which means cash flow can suck because you have a bunch of cash outlay for a $50,000 to $100,000 job in some cases, and you're just waiting on a huge check from the insurance company for. I mean, we all know what that's like. You might as well be waiting on a check from the IRS or something.
Yeah. So I think that was the downfall of this. The previous owner. I think he underestimated a cash flow situation when because he had just started a $1.2 million restoration project at this.
Jesus.
It was a high rise that on the 11th floor, it flooded. They were out of town, so there was like 18 to 24 inches of water in this one unit, and then that water went down all 11 floors and into 4 sub basements.
Oh, Jesus.
Destroying everything on the way down. So obviously you have to front the material costs, like the mitigation is not bad because you just send dudes in there and you just pay the labor and they just rip stuff out and you put the dehues in there and you're sucking water out and everything's fine. It's when you have to start like rebuilding it and then like
rebuild it.
And it's commercial.
A lot of subcontractors and stuff you need to hire, and they're not
a lot of subs, and they want paid. They want money up front. And
is it common that you have to front all that, and the insurance company's not going to give you a dime until it's done, or is it like, do you have a banking relationship where they're like, yep, we know exactly how this works and we know we're going to get our money, so we're going to front it? Or like, what is the mechanism to manage those types of situations?
It depends on the insurance. This one, there was some milestone payments, which was good. So you're not having to wait till the end. So you get some milestone payments. That's helpful. You need a good line of credit, which when we arrived, the company had no lines of credit.
I was gonna say like a $50,000 line of credit. Like, hey, we can make a half a payroll.
Yeah. So yeah, you do that and it's like, okay, that's awesome. And so good line of credit is what you need because you're gonna have to buy all the materials. And sometimes apparently twice, when I got there, they had these common hallways and then common staircases. And the inspector made them tear out all the drywall they had replaced because they needed 3/4 inches of drywall, and they put in a 1/2 inch
Oh no,
drywall, and then overlaid a 1/4 inch piece of drywall on top of it for a total of 3/4 inch. He wanted a single 3/4 inch piece, not.
get the fuck out of here! They
I'm
made it.
serious.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
God. What?
tens of
I mean,
thousands of dollars.
and I assume like it's thicker drywall, partially for just like soundproofing in a common area kind of
Fire.
situation like that. Oh,
It
fire.
was fire. Yeah, and so what they did is they put on the 1/2 inch drywall and then put the 1/4 inch right on it, and that apparently
I
that
mean,
didn't pass code or
I was
his
just saying now,
code.
like it seems like that would be fine, but I'm also like, why wouldn't you just put a 3/4 inch thing there? Like, unless you had the other pieces lying around, why wouldn't you just like it'd be faster and easier, I would think, to just install one instead of having to install two
You
per
would think.
you
Man, see, this is what I walked into. I was like,
nobody knows. Nobody knows what the answer is.
yeah, it was
Um,
wild.
but that's a cool space. So the restoration game. Now you got Company 180 going, and I'm curious. I do this every time I do a podcast. I think Brad Williams and he was on last week, and we were like 45 minutes in. And I was like, Brad, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? So I'm going to cut that in half this time. We're only
Nice.
21 minutes in. So Maynard, obviously, like you and I have known each other for a while, so there's not like, hey, tell me a little bit more about what you do. Like I just jumped into all your new stuff. Let's back it up for the folks a little bit. I came to know you from Red Door. Is it Pro Wash, Power Wash?
Yeah, Red Door Pro Wash.
Red Door Pro Wash. I still got it. Still got it up here. And you've done many a thing in between. Can you kind of get us back a little bit to the impetus, the start of your home service days, and kind of lay some foundation of all the different things you're involved in and done and what you're up to? Pre restoration business. Now that we just
Pre-restoration. Yeah. So we're starting at the end.
Mhm.
So in 2016, I was working an IT job, and I had bought and then scaled and sold a kettle corn company. And
Oh
when I
shit!
say, yeah, oh, you didn't know that?
Do you still got the skills? I could go for some.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think I could still knock out some kettle corn.
Damn.
The company still exists, which is super
Is
cool.
this a thing you can pull off in a fish house? You think?
No.
You
I mean,
can't.
I can make like a little batch, but this you need like big propane. Like it's
I mean, I got 70 pounds of propane on the fish house. Let's go.
yeah. We'll make some kettle corn. It'd be good. All it is popcorn and sugar.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds great.
you just got to get it hot enough, so it's good. But I started that because I was at a festival and I was standing in this like line for like 6 weeks trying to get some kettle corn because I like kettle corn, and then I got the bag, and I paid like $12 for the bag, and I'm just eating the crap out of it. I'm driving home, and I was like, I wonder how much it costs to make this. Well, it turns out it's less than $1,
I
and
bet popcorn's pretty cheap.
I was like, oh, hang on, I might be onto something here. So did my research. I invested, I think, like 15 grand in to buy like a trailer and the whole setup, and then I was going to like the local farmers market and all the festivals and stuff like that, and wore myself out. I did it for like a year and a half, 2 years, and this was before I thought. I was still in the mindset that, well, I can't hire somebody to do this because nobody's going to be able to do it like I can.
Dude, I can whip up the kettle corn. Is kettle corn? You don't even know.
Yeah. So I was like, So I sold it to a guy that I knew that was trying to put his kids through college, and he was like, "Hey, me and this other guy want to go in halvesies. Will you sell it?" And I was like, "I will sell it."
I will sell.
And
please buy it from me.
So yeah, it was decent money while you're doing it. And so it's still in business. I was somewhere the other day and somebody came in there like, have you tried this kettle corn? It's so good. And I was like, I just started laughing. They're like, what's so funny? And I was like, do you know who Pop and John is? And they're like, no. And I was like, this guy.
Me, I am that guy.
I'm the Poppin' John. And so we had a good laugh, and he's done some really cool things with the business. So just extra flavors and fundraising stuff. So
Even
he's
even kept your name on it. It's still Poppin' John.
still Poppin' John. Yeah,
Dude, that's a brand, man. You might as well be Orville Redenbacher.
heck
You're,
yeah,
you're
man.
the next. You're the next Orville Redenbacher. You just got to wear. He's got like a goofy
He's
stripe thing or something on.
Yeah, or seersucker. I can get one of them old timey seersuckers.
Yeah, you need
That'd
a
be
weird.
good.
Yeah, you're somewhere between like the Colonel from KFC and Orville Redenbacher.
Yeah.
Grow the beard out a little bit.
So yeah, I did that, sold it, and got bored. So I'm in my IT job, 9 to 5, and I'm in management, so I'm not working a ton. My brain is able to think of things, and so I'm like, okay, what's my next venture? I started looking, and I was like, maybe I can get into a franchise. And
Did you have the IT job the whole time you were running the kettle corn business too?
oh yeah. The kettle corn business was just weekends.
Which is a cool side hustle.
Yeah. So still working my 9 to 5. Decide, you know what, I'm going to do a maid service and open up Red Door Cleaning, leased an office space. I'm doing a tour with the property manager, and he's like, oh, hey, by the way, do you know anybody that pressure washes sidewalks? We need to get these done. And I called the guy, and his, the number's out of service and whatnot. And I was like, well, how much do you normally pay for something like this? He's like, I think last time we paid like around $1,600. And I'm looking, and I was like, I can knock this out in like a few hours. This is wild.
Yep, I know somebody that can do this for you.
I was like, give me a minute. So I went back, and I was like on the computer trying to find, power washing stuff. So I bought this power washing trailer from New Line out in Utah and had it delivered. And so went out there, power washed the sidewalks, and now I own a power washing company. And
did you like just set up two separate entities right away? Here's a maid service business, here's a power washing business, or was it just kind of like jumble it all together and just start cleaning shit?
It was all together. It was just all together, and so I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know much about business. I was just like, well, let's figure this out.
We just got to clean some stuff. We'll figure the rest out later.
I got a QuickBooks. Hey, man, I started a QuickBooks account, so I was like, okay, we're good.
Official. It's legit.
Got a CRM. I think I don't remember what I used for the maid service. Oh, I was using Launch 21, which was
Launch 27, isn't it?
Launch 27, Launch 27, something like that. Yeah.
Which is
Rohan's.
like, yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, because that's how I found it. I started. He did his whole series on Reddit, and so I went in and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, okay, if he can do this, I can do this. Not a problem.
Yeah.
He used subcontractors. I was like, no, I need employees because I like to torture myself.
Yeah.
And so, and which in the maid service, if you could do his method, it's actually, it's a lot cleaner. So, I was like, okay, so doing the power washing and this, I had a buddy that's a realtor, and I was like, hey man, I'm going to start doing power washing. And he's like, you're insane, but I have some houses. Do you want to do one of these things? And I was like, I will do it. So I went out there. Anybody that's in the power washing industry, you will laugh with me now that I am where I am today and now know better. I went out there with the trailer and water only and power washed the crap out of this vinyl house. It took me like 6 months to power wash this thing. It was the worst.
I just see you rolling up and like it's dawn and the sun's just popping up. And then a total time lapse, and you're like you're a quarter of the way around the house, and you see the sun starting to set. That's the picture I've got in my head.
It was awful, and so I wrap it up, and I'm beat at the end of the day, and I was like, I have made a terrible mistake. This is the worst. And at the same time, one of the like O-rings ended up breaking on the thing because I turned on the hot water, and you need to have special O-rings for the hot water because obviously it's hot and they have to be temperature resistant
a little bit.
Yeah, these weren't. So I got water just blowing out all over the thing, and I'm calling Uline like, your equipment is junk, and what's happening here? Because I just think you pay for this, and it's just going to work forever. Yeah, why not? And so they were like, no, you need a new O-ring and a couple other things. And I was just so mad at them. I was just like, well, I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to find where I can buy these. So I bought some stuff from Power Wash store,
Yeah.
and they sent me this stuff, and there's a little card in there for a power washing convention, and I was like, I need to go to that. It's in Charlotte. So I drove to Charlotte so I could learn how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Quick education here.
oh yeah. So went there, met Pat Clark, and he was talking to he was just doing a speech. This was back in probably 2017 at this point, maybe 2016. And I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I need your help. And he's like, man, whatever you need. And so we kind of,
that's the right guy to say, hey man, I need your help, because Pat
yeah,
would over backwards for just about it. It says, hey man, I need some help. He'd be like, let me drop everything and come to where you're at.
let me help you. I'll wash this house with you. So we struck up a friendship, and that was, great. Ended up growing the power washing company. At the time I was still working my 9 to 5. I'm doing it nights and weekends. Hire employees. So I had like a series of failed employees, and finally, and then finally found a really good one, Jad, who we're actually still friends today, which is wild. He owns a microgreens farm now, so that's what he does.
Yeah. Why not? Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, and so I knew him because we worked together. He worked at the same place I did. He worked. He was a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
And then I just was like, nope, I'm gonna go do this power washing thing. And he's like, dude, that's so awesome. I said, why don't you come work for me? And he's like, I'll try it for a while. So he came and he worked for me, brought his brother, and so I was doing sales in the evenings and on weekends, and then they were out washing the stuff during the day. We were working out of this like old storage unit, and and then just grew it and just kept growing it. And today, that company has 20-ish employees. Yeah. So, and it chugs out. And after that, I started Red Door Lighting Company, which is Christmas lights and landscape lighting.
Oh, nice. And you got into the landscape lighting.
Nice. Yeah. So we did Ryan Lee's course. I say we, the royal we, because I didn't do it, but Jason, my GM, went through. Yeah.
Nice. I know. So Jason. I've shared many a Voxer message with Jason.
Oh yeah, he's he's a trip. And so we went through that course and just started doing landscape lighting, and that's been slower to take off. But not, I mean, it's not bad, but the most of that company just does the Christmas lights. We do I don't even know what the revenue on it for the Christmas lights is, but it's pushing 7 figures for lighting, which is wild.
It is crazy, isn't it?
It's the most crazy thing ever. And God bless them. I drive down and I can see stuff, and I'm like, is that our work? And I'll send them a message on Slack, and do we do that? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, that's cool. That's really cool. So they get to have a lot of fun, and it's nice to now, because I was a guy when we first started. I'm up at the top of Chick-fil-A's, like shivering and on the top of houses and doing the thing. And now it's finally been like, okay, I can empower them and kind of let them go do their thing and just sit back, which is super cool. So did that. I have an epoxy flooring company, Solid Garage Floor Coatings. And that's part of we have locations in like Denver and
Missoula,
Montana, and somewhere in Utah, and it's Jared's. So basically we're all together. He owns a small percentage of our companies, and we're gonna do some really cool stuff with that. If
that's sweet.
Yeah, as long as we can. My big issue with that one is, like, I've got a great guy that runs it. It's the technicians. It's like the installers, because around here, we didn't have a big industry to pull from.
Yep.
So it's harder to find those guys. So we just have to kind of crack that nut. And once we do, it'll be fine. But it's done. It's done okay. And then the flood restoration company, and also Company 180, which full transparency, I'm still like trying to figure out what that is, because I said I would never do another startup. So I've lazily not done this startup. And so Company 180, I help people implement EOS into their companies when they're ready for that.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, I do consulting / I don't want to say coaching, but there's a lot of people that have approached me over the years, and they're like, "Hey, man, I kind of want to get to where you're at. Can you help?" And
Yep.
so I'm like, "Yep, that's fine. I can tell you what I did. I can't tell you what to do, but I can at least give you some direction." And a lot of it, I was on Sean Day's podcast yesterday, and
Yeah, I
we
know.
we
I
kind
was I saw that on Facebook, and I was like, Sean, we should talk about who we're having on because people are gonna get really sick of us, like just talking to the same
yeah,
person.
got to
Back.
coordinate. Be like, I just saw this guy
Yeah,
yesterday.
I could have swore
Um,
I'm having deja vu.
Yeah. So a lot of what I talk about is, everybody's got these outcomes that they want. They want these goals, and I like to take it back. Okay, that's great. Goals are great, but your habits, the things that you do, are the things that give you what you want, what you think you want. But really, it comes down to your identity, your core. Is what drives your habits, is what drives your outcomes. So
Mhm.
I really take a very person focused approach there when
Yeah.
I'm talking to people, and give them the tools that they need, because I mean, being a business owner, just it can be obviously lonely. It can be one of those things. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes I feel like you know just I'm here, but it's like, how did I even get here?
Mhm.
And so I think I had that an epiphany back in like 2022, and I was like, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm really just not happy. I was always pessimistic. I was a guy that was always angry in traffic. Things, relationships. God love my wife. We've been married for 26 years, and I think that's the only thing that kept us together through the entrepreneurship like roller coaster.
Yeah, you
The
just
fact she's
been
like, well,
married for long enough, and she's like, "Yeah, it's just phase. He's just
yeah,
going through
it's
phase."
just a phase. He'll get through this one.
Yeah.
And so, I had that an epiphany in 2022 where I was like, I've got to fix myself, because I can't sustain this how I currently am. And so I went through a journey through a lot of different things, and I finally was like, okay, and I'm not there, and like, it's not like I wake up rainbows and butterflies and things like that. Like, yesterday was terrific day, but I woke up today and there was just like several things that happened, and I was like, okay, this used to send me in a spiral, and I felt it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt it just like welling up, and I was like, okay, nope, I have all the tools. I know what to do here. And so just was like, okay, we're going to press through and we're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Um, and then, because before I didn't have these tools, I would just find myself in this like spiral for like days or weeks, where it's
Yeah.
just like things are just not looking good. And, you know, uh, I don't think there's any business owner that, everything works out every day, you know?
No.
So
Well, it's like there's all these as a business owner, we have so many catalysts that work at destroying our mindset. We can let customer things eat at us. We can let employee things eat at us. We can let business partner things eat at us, and they do, right? And the more businesses you have, the more of them you have, right?
yeah,
Like I think that was. It took me a while to realize how miserable I was when I was running all of the Blue Skies businesses, and finally, finally, when I started selling them, Dalkey was like, "Man, it took you way too long to freaking start shutting these things down and getting rid of them." I'm just like, "Oh shit!" Like, I wish somebody would have told me I could have done this a long time ago, because it was just like the yeah. In any business, there's a ton of problems, but then you multiply that by 10, and it's like, well, what the hell did I expect was going to happen?
yeah,
Uh, and so it is like a mindset challenging thing, and it's goofy because from the outside looking in, I'm just like, man, Maynard's fucking killing it, right? Like, he's got this thing and he's doing that thing, and I think there's a sense from outside people looking in that, like, there's like a jealousy thing of like, and
yeah,
I had people always come up to me and like, that's so cool, you're doing all this stuff. and you're running this and doing that, and like I wish I could do all that. And kind of in the back of my mind, I'm just like, yeah, it's not great,
It's
man.
not.
You don't
It's
know.
not.
Like, I don't think you want all these problems. I don't think I want all these problems. I just don't know
Yeah.
how to get rid of them anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's a funny thing where it's like from the outside looking in, I'd look at everything you're doing and I'd be like, man, I'm just so jealous. And then you're sitting here being like, man, 2022 was tough. I had all these things going on and it just stacked up more things that could go wrong. Right. And it's like they're
Yeah.
making money, they're doing successful things. And yeah, there's obviously headwinds and times where it's not making money or people issues or whatever. But it is a funny conundrum.
It
And
is.
one of the things Ben Smith and I have been talking about this recently, where he got his business to a point, kind of like you did with Red Door, and you got Jason in there. He's got T-Bone running his business, Trevor, and then like his purpose goes away a little bit. And the other day, Ben was just like, I think I'm like a little depressed. Like the business doesn't need me anymore. And I think I think that's a natural thing because we pour so much into these businesses, right? You freaking started Red Door Pro Wash with a purchase of a power washer on a whim, and you built it into a cool thing, and then you turn it over to somebody else to run, and it's like that's sweet. And then what? Now what?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like you lost, like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's a little bit where Ben is. It's a little bit of a now what? Like now what's my purpose here? Somebody else is doing my purpose, and I don't know what to do anymore besides come in and break some shit every once in a while. So I feel like I still have something to fix and be a hero for. So it's a weird little conundrum.
Yeah. You find other things to do. Yeah, the jealousy thing. And it's funny because Keith Kalfas got pissed at me on his podcast because he was like, "Oh, well, tell me what you do," and I just kind of nonchalantly explained, "Oh, I did this, I built this, and now I've got eight figures of revenue annually across our portfolio and blah blah." And he goes, "Just make it sound so easy. You just make it sound like, oh, I just did this," and he's like getting like seriously irritated. And I was like, "No, okay, I'm sorry. It's not easy. It sucks a lot of the time. And here's, and here's what I did. And it's, some of it was a little bit lazy and some of it was, looking back like, oh yeah, that was kind of smart. But it, we all do these things that from the outside, they seem, oh, that's so cool. And I, I forgot who it was, but he told me, he said, "Hey, never meet your heroes." And because it was like you see these people and you go, "Oh, they're doing all these really cool things," but then you don't know what it's like behind the curtain. And I never, this is why I'm not on like social media a whole lot, is because I loathe the people that put on this facade.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dude,
they,
and it's everywhere out there, man.
man, and because, and here's a problem is I know a lot of these people and I've counseled a lot of these people and I'm like, nah, man, they're a hot mess just like the rest of us.
Yeah,
It's okay.
they need to post their picture with their 10 trucks so that they can feel like they're doing something important,
Yeah.
but it's 10 trucks of a hot mess going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a story earlier, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was actually a pretty funny story. It's a story of Mexican fishermen, and this American businessman. He goes down, and he sees this Mexican fisherman coming up, and he goes, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" He goes, "Well, I fish." He said, "I catch enough fish in the morning to feed my family. I go home, we feed my family, we talk, I play with my kids, and then I go out the next day and I fish again." And he goes, "Oh, here's what you need to do. You need to spend all day fishing so that then you can take those fish, those extra fish, and sell them at the market and make money." He goes, "Well, why would I want to do that?" He said, "Well, so that you can make extra money." He said, and then he goes on and he's like, "Oh, and then you can hire friends and then they can help you fish. And then you can get a business in America doing canning so you can have a fully vertically integrated company. And you can do this and this." And he goes, "Why would I want to do that?" He said, "So that you can, fish a little bit in the morning and spend most of the time in the afternoon with your kids." And it's like, you got to create all this crap to do the thing that the dude's doing right now.
Yep.
And how many times do we do that? We create these things to make our lives easier when we could just, have an easy life anyway.
I've had I've had fun like restarting a bookkeeping business with that lens of I don't have and I my business partners were awesome at Blue Sky. So I have like no complaints about the situation I was in. It's just like it makes you put pressure on yourself. And
Mhm.
it's really fun having it just be 100% mine where it's like, oh, I have no outside pressures at all, even when it's really just like the story I'm telling myself. Like they never put pressure on me. They're just like, yeah, Dan, do your thing, right? But now I don't have that pressure on myself. And so it's really like, how can I build this thing exactly to do what you just said? Where I do want to build it in the sense of part of the joy for me is helping a ton of people, right?
Mhm.
So I want to build a thing that can help a ton of people, but I just never want to sacrifice the ability for me to like take my kids out hunting or my wife and I were out hunting this last weekend and shot a deer together and I made her drag it out of the woods and that was super fun. That was the first time I think that was the first time she ever dragged a deer out. I like threw the harness on her and I was just like, "You go, girl. Like this one's on you. I'll gut it for you and I'll butcher it, but you're dragging it."
Oh, that's awesome.
And I feel like a previous version of me would be like, okay, I'm starting a new business. That means I'm going to be working 10 to 20 hours a day, working weekends, working holidays. And it's like, man, I just didn't think about a lick of bookkeeping for 5 straight days over Thanksgiving. I jumped on like Sunday night and did a little bit of stuff, but it was just, it's the ability to like have that lens of what am I really trying to do here? And
Mhm.
it's all about the freedom to, I mean, for me, I'm just a redneck, right? So it's like I want to hang out with my family, hunt, fish, drink Bush Light. How do I like do more of that and do it with all my business buddies? Hence why we got a date on the schedule in February to do just that.
Yep.
And so it's like, how do I do as much of that as humanly possible while helping a shit ton of small business owners?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I just like that's the lens I want to have when I build this thing, not the lens of I need to scale the biggest business that makes the most amount of revenue. If that
Mhm.
happens, cool, but that's definitely not the goal for me in version 2.0 anyway.
Yeah, and that's when I'm talking to people, that's really what I try to dial in with them is, what are you doing? What's your end game? Because a lot of people, if I talk, hey, what do you want? They go, oh, I want $1 million business. Why? Why do you want $1 million business? And
Because
then
it looks cool when other people post it on Facebook.
yeah, and that's really, you look really cool to about 5 people. That's about it.
And then you tell them like, hey, go. I want you to go talk to 10 people who have $1 million businesses and see how happy they are with having their $1 million business.
Yeah, I can't find a whole lot of those guys, you
No,
know, and
no,
it's true. There's some people that I know that are super happy, and they have a, uh, I'm trying Mike. I think of Mike in particular, 350 grand a year, annual revenue. He works by himself with a helper, and his wife does the sales. They bring home 140, 150 grand a year.
and
That's
they
a
do
great,
that in the morning and then they play with their kids.
yeah.
Like for sure.
They love it, and that's their best lifestyle
Mhm.
because they make their rules, and he doesn't need, a ton of employees, and he doesn't, and people go, well, what if he gets hurt and this, that, and the other, and yeah, I get that
All
that
he
could be a
needs is a
thing.
good disability insurance policy is what he needs.
Yeah, and maybe you don't want to be the technician on the truck, but maybe you hire a technician and you just do sales, and it's, the two guys that are out there working, you're doing sales, and that's what you do. But I look at the why, and try to strip back the ego of, well, you just have to have this really cool like office building because your mom said you're never going to amount to anything. Now you got to prove her wrong, or your dad, or
You
or
better have
whoever
a
it
sweet
was,
new
or
truck. You better have a sweet new truck. Tell you
yeah.
what. I,
And so yeah,
Jason Hefner checked in. He said, my 2024 goal, let someone else hold the tools, watch, coach, and sell. And I think that's it takes the a few reps, I would say, to have the perspective, but enjoy the damn journey. Like
yeah,
enjoy the process of scaling. Don't rush to them. Just like enjoy watching your kids grow up, right? Don't like wish it away because it'll be gone before you know it, right? Enjoy the journey of like building a business and solving the next problem. Not to say do it at a speed, at the fastest speed ever, or don't do it or the slowest speed ever, but do it at a speed where you are excited about running that business every day. Because if you burn yourself out, what the hell's the point? You're no good to your family, you're no good to your customers, you're no good to your employees. Like, do it at a pace where every day you're like, this is just fucking awesome. Speaking of which, I just got to give a shout out. I don't know if Dr. J is still watching. EJM here was my college econ professor. Spent many a Saturday morning in the Hormel lab doing stock market research with Dr. J, and then going over to Mogi's for some cheese. I forget what they're called. Spuds. I think they're called Spuds. They're like the cheesy hash brown things. So good.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, Dr. J in the house. What's up, Dr. J? We got Brant checking in from Jill's office. Hey friends, love this convo. Good to hear from you, Brant. I gotta get Brant on the new podcast. He was on the old bookkeeping beer and BS show. We got to get him on the home service happy hour show. Actually, I got Kempton coming on like next week or the week after. And I was like, this is perfect. I'm not drinking until Christmas. So like, we're really doing milkshakes.
That's nice.
Last time I had Kurt on, we had milkshakes. I just had a whole lot of brandy in mine. It was really good. But by the end of it, I couldn't talk anymore. I was just all over the place. It was a big ass milkshake. I was like big. So now I get to have a sober podcast with Kurt next week or the week after. That'll be fun.
Nice. Those are some cool dudes.
I could do the same with Brant. I'll get Brant on and we'll do a dry show. I'm just drinking my Pepsi, which I'm gonna totally. Pepsi. I was drinking Pepsi because we ate pizza for dinner, and then I was just feeling like sluggish. I promised Reggie that we would do pizza for dinner, and then I had the podcast with Kelfis, and then this one. Obviously, I was like, I need to pick me up. Throw a little Pepsi in here. The problem is, I feel like it's gonna be like midnight tonight. I'm just gonna be like I don't know what to do. I'm just like laying here wide awake. So I did that to myself, but it is what it is. So Company 180, I don't know exactly where I want to go with this, so I'm just going to like talk through my question like a really good podcast host would do. I do see more and more people in our small business spaces hearing about EOS, starting to kind of understand it and maybe use like parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see Company 180 just having more and more potential? You mentioned it's kind of an EOS facilitation, like an implementer type of business, I think. Are you seeing like that runway? Is it something like I'm more familiar with it now? So maybe I'm just biased because I'm familiar with it and therefore I see other people being familiar with it. Or do you see that business organization template style coming into play more and more in this home service space?
So EOS is a pretty intensive operating system for you to install in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And you're generally going to need a very strong leadership team of like 4 or 5 people.
Let's do this for those that don't like. We're using an acronym, so we should probably say what it is. So EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's from the book Traction.
Yes.
And there's Get a Grip and there's Rocket Fuel. There's kind of like a series of books that all play on the visionary and the integrator and your leadership team.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. I wanted to set the stage a little bit because I kind of just jumped right into it.
Well,
like I said, I'm just talking my way through some questions that I haven't framed up at all. So,
that's all right.
It's real professional podcast hosting action here.
But and I eat, live, and breathe it. So I'm spitting out terms like everybody knows what we're talking about. But essentially, you go in and you find out what mission, vision, core values are. What your niche is, and really figure out the core of your business. After we do an assessment to figure out kind of where the business is. And then you do that, you have a vision day 1 and 2, you kind of get all that solidified. And then you start these things called level 10 meetings, which is a very specific format where you work through your dashboard, your KPIs, and you come up with issues off of those, and then you solve those by creating to-dos. So for example, sales are down, solve it by increasing marketing. To do, Christina, run more Facebook ads. That's really how it's done, and you step it through. In order for it to be very effective, you really need a visionary, an integrator, And your visionary is a person. They're the big 30,000 foot thinker,
Dreamer.
um, dreamer. That's them. And then you have an integrator. These are people that love spreadsheets and diagrams and things like that. They're used to taking somebody else's vision and taking it and implementing it into a company. Um, Super great relationship. And then you've got your leadership team that kind of just handles the to-dos and things. The problem with home services for the most part, um, is if you're over like 4 or 5 million, which you need to be, gosh, you really need to be at about 4 million or so, for EOS to make sense in your company. Um, you can put parts of it in there, and you can run it when you're smaller, but you just kind of need that leadership team. Most companies aren't at that scale. So, and if they are, they're PE and they kind of have their own way of doing things.
Yep.
So my thought is, this is why I was like, I'm having a terrible identity crisis because, um, I think I almost would have to invent something that is for the home service space that is basically like an EOS light,
Yeah.
but I can't use any of the trademark terms or anything like that. So it's a bit of an issue, but we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Oh, there's enough. We'll get the thesaurus out and we'll just start working it up. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of the observations I've had around that of like, yeah, it's got to be, such a scaled up business to make it worth it. I don't know if it's a revenue thing. I think it's more of a people thing. Like for
Yeah.
Ben's sewer and drain cleaning business, they're in EOS. They have like 15 to 20 employees. They do a few mil. It works for their business.
Mm-hmm.
At Blue Sky Services, we were doing a version of it. We were doing a little over $1 million in revenue, but we had 20 employees, right? And so it seems to me it's like when you have 15 pushing 20 employees, that leadership team starts to become developed. It might not be like full fledged, but it seems like if there's an employee threshold, it's kind of in that 20-ish range. Maybe 20 to 30 is where you really have the roles established. Because a maid service business with 20 employees is probably sniffing $1 million, right? Like they're probably right around $1 million. And they like if it was a maid service company, maybe they could be thinking about EOS in the $1 million to $2 million range. But if you're a landscape lighting company and you're doing 3 million, you're probably not even big enough yet. Like you probably are 3 million with 10 employees, and it's like you hardly have an operations manager at that point in time. You got a few crews running around out there, and you got a salesperson or two and an office manager. Like, who was your leadership team? So it's kind of funny, like industry by industry, how it can vary.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that person thing. And a maid service, even, you could have 20 people, you could have 18 maids, and then, an office manager and an assistant. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Because when I sold my maid service, I think I had six maids that worked for me, so 3 crews, which was enough for me. That was a lot.
It's a challenge. It is a challenge. It's such an army of labor. It's such an army of labor.
Yeah. And those women, they did so well, and they did so good, and ended up selling the company to my office manager.
Oh yeah,
did an earn out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she still got it. Changed the name obviously because it was Red Door Cleaning, and you can't have like another weird red door over there. So
yeah,
she changed the name, and it was
great.
Cleaning. Yeah, it was Blue Door. No.
Pick another color. Do you guys do EOS traction stuff at Red Door Pro Wash? Is that big enough to? And you said you have like around 20 people there.
Yeah. So Jason runs that meeting, and then we've got a sales manager, and our marketing manager, and our office manager that attend those, and they just go in there and hammer it out.
Yeah, I enjoy the idea of meetings, and I'm just maybe this just says I'm a total visionary. Is like I just hate running them. Like, I don't mind being in them and sharing thoughts. Of course, like literally, I have a podcast to just share what the hell I'm thinking, right? So I'm no stranger to sharing, and I'm not even an opinionated person, but I don't mind getting on here and sharing what I think or what I've seen. But man, I hate being the one to try to organize and keep on track a meeting Like I can barely
Oh
keep
yeah.
my daily schedule on track. How the hell am I supposed to keep other people on track in a meeting? I'm the meeting's worst enemy. I will go off on every tangent and we'll never get to what we're supposed to get to. Hence why I think you said it earlier, but you need that integrator role who actually enjoys
That's the person that's
process.
running it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your visionary should not be in your L10 meetings.
Not even in them?
No, no, gosh,
Really?
no, you're screwing things up. Yeah, it's the worst. So
Maybe that's what Ben is struggling with is he wants to be in it and they're just like, Ben, just shut up because you're in here like breaking things and trying to change everything again. We
you're
just got
making
this
it
fixed.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so your visionary and integrator actually have a separate meeting called a same page meeting, and basically they bring all of the stuff that they couldn't solve and bounce ideas off, and then they take it back and execute on it. So um yeah, that's the best way to do it that I found. And your integrator, and that's why it's so important. You just have to have that person that is your integrator. And for so many companies, you sit in both roles. You sit in both the visionary and integrator seat,
Mhm.
and that's not healthy after a while, depending on the business. There's a lot of startups, especially tech startups, where their visionary integrator until they get to like 20 million. It gets a little crazy. Um, but if you do have a chief of staff, or if you have an integrator or somebody that is running your day to day, then yeah, you're going to want them running your L10 meetings and then passing stuff up. One of the things that helps with that is software. I help get people set up on a software called 90,
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
I've
I've
got
heard
like an affiliate thing that I basically set up their account for them, get them through the onboarding and whatnot, and it's like $12 a month per user. It's not very expensive, but it's where all your dashboard, all your KPIs live, all your meetings live, and it helps you get in that framework. And you can do these meetings, the L10 meetings, without if it's just like you and like one other person.
Mhm.
But the full integration of EOS, it just, yeah, it takes some time, and it's like a 2-year process. By the time you start it till the time that the last meeting is like, okay, yeah, where everything's copacetic, you guys are running, how to do your L10s and your quarterlies and your annuals and things like that, and then they're off to the races. But for home service companies, there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to do. You don't have to do all of it. You can pick and choose, and if I could find a way to lighten it up, that's what I would do.
One thing we did back in the day at Blue Skies that I think is like a version of EOS Lite, and at the time I had no idea what traction EOS even was. And this was something Dalkey had put in place, even kind of as I was coming in, or maybe a little before I got there, was the book E-Myth kind of outlines similar principles, but it
Hmm.
outlines it from the stage of like the solopreneur trying to start growing the thing. And I felt like that was a little bit of an EOS light, like not nearly as dense of processes and meeting requirements. It didn't give you the full blueprint like EOS is like, here's what you do and when you do it and how
Yeah.
to do it. But it gave you a framework to work with. And for a long time, we used that type of framework from the E-Myth to run Blue Skies. Eventually, we started kind of adopting some traction EOS type of stuff into those meetings. But I did find that useful because that with traction, that was what I ran into is like a lot of the stuff just doesn't apply until we have X amount of employees. And even then I was like, oh, well, we have 100 employees across all these businesses. And I was like, but none of them standalone are really big enough for this. And so therefore, like EOS still didn't quite work because we had all these different divisions and they didn't really work that much with each other. And so the EOS system was kind of goofy trying to figure that out. We were even going to hire an implementer at one point in time, and he literally was like, "Yeah, like your overall revenue probably is sufficient, but you guys are so segregated. There's just no like there. You're not there yet." And I was like, "Well, I appreciate you telling me that, so I don't pay you 50 grand a year to like to do something that's not going to work. Thanks for letting me know in advance it's not going to work." Um, But that was why we kind of used some of that and used some of the E-Myth stuff. And that seemed to keep us at least a little bit organized and rolling on a regular basis.
Really, it's just making sure you keep your KPIs in front of you. That, I mean, honestly, that's the biggest thing. And then make sure your meetings are effective. And
I don't know how to do that. I don't know nothing about effective meetings. It's just you get a bunch of people together and you tell stories and jokes. That's what meetings are.
That's my favorite kind of meeting. But
that's what I'm talking about.
At the end, it's like, what did we accomplish? Well, we had a good time. Yeah,
nailed it.
Nailed it. Business still on fire, but we had fun.
We all had fun. That was when Bryn and I were in the same leadership calls. When Bryn Boyd and I were in the same leadership calls for Blue Skies, we'd waste a half an hour just joking around. Couldn't help ourselves. Like, and she was my admin, and we were both visionaries. It was a disaster. It was a shit show. It was a blast.
Yeah,
a good time. Good culture. Culture was high. Jason Hefner says, "Is it weird? I would rather ramp up lights and stay small with washing."
No,
I don't think that's weird.
It's not weird at all.
Now I would say, Jason, I think you probably have some recency bias there because it is holiday light season, and holiday light season, it's exhausting, but it's fun, man. Like that's some joyous work. When you're doing takedowns, now you're also in Florida, so if you were in Minnesota doing takedowns and you're trying to pull cords out of sheets of ice, and then you got to make a list of stuff that the stuff is still frozen in, so you couldn't get it all, and you got to remember to go back to this house and that house, and it's 40 degrees out and you're freezing and you're slipping, because now in Minnesota when you're doing takedowns, it's still snow, but then the snow melts and then it refreezes, so half of the stuff is snow and half the stuff is ice, and you're not really sure until you step on it and slide on your ass. At that point, you would maybe be like, maybe I'll do more window washing and gutter cleaning and maybe not as many lights. So I think there's some recency bias. If you're on the front end of it, you haven't started to do takedowns yet. Now, again, you're in Florida, and so your takedowns, you're not going to be slipping on sheets of ice and having to leave half the shit at people's houses because it's frozen in. So you got that going for you. But regardless, I do think it's fun, man. It's a fun business.
There's
a reason why a lot of people are getting into it. So I don't think that's weird at all.
Yeah. I remember years ago, Andy Masura had sent me a photograph of him on the top of a roof that he had to shovel to like get up there. I was like, no, man.
How we do it. Look at, speaking of Christmas lights, look at this clown. Look at this guy.
Oh, look at that.
Nowhere. Just the episode extender. Yeah, really. It's like, it's got to be like midnight where you're at, Rob. What the hell's going on here? I like your mini blue background. That's literally.
Yeah, I had to move it from over here because I had to put this. I had to open up the window, so I had to move the blue screen. Every time I try and get onto and use the green screen or blue screen, it just like jacks up the internet even more than it already gets jacked up whenever I'm on it. But hey, I have a bigger microphone, so what's up?
You do. It sounds like you're really close to it when you get close to it.
I am your father. Not really. That'd be really weird.
What do you, Jonathan and I aren't drinking over there. You're the only one that's drinking. What are you drinking? You're drinking for all three of us.
It's like bourbon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's wearing a bourbon shirt, so
yeah,
bourbon makes it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Very well.
And I might have to turn in my beer drinking shirt because since AMP, I haven't had any beer. Actually, I might have had one or two in the past like 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And I'm down 10 pounds. So, yeah.
I stopped. I haven't had a drink in like 4 days, which is long for me. That's probably the longest I've gone since last year when I took a month off of drinking. But I've gained like 3 pounds. So, but now this isn't like in my defense. This is just a statement of truth, which is my body thinks Busch Light is water.
Yeah.
Like my body functions better with a bunch of Busch Lights in it. It's basically water, and it's my lifeblood. So I think my body's in like a regression right now. It's not quite sure what to do without Busch Lights.
So do you now have like millions of dollars in the bank because you're no longer drinking your Busch Lights?
No, because it's Christmas time, so Marty spent it all.
Okay.
Spent my $15 per case.
Does that happen in your house, Maynard?
What's that?
Does that happen in your house too? That like the money comes in and then it disappears somewhere.
Yeah, it goes.
I truly can't point the finger at Marty because like I've spent $700 on like a muzzle loader and some gun cleaning stuff and stuff for that hunting season. And then I needed a new one of these things. And so Marty's buying Christmas presents. I'm just buying shit for myself. I don't know. So we're both spending money equally. Mine's just way more selfish. So that's all.
That's nice.
Brant says he's gonna get us some milkshake shirts, so we'll be for the next
some Thurgood Creamery ones.
He did say, he said I need to get you to come to Jill's in the creamery for some EOS.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a business that would be the right size for a little EOSing.
Man, his business just hums though. It's so nice. Just runs.
You're probably gonna break it. You probably break it.
Yeah.
Brant, I want you to send me the statistics for how many calls the Jills have answered for me this year.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I was gonna send a message through the proper channels.
You could probably get it in your dashboard, right?
Maybe.
But then he would have to know how to log into his dashboard.
I know how to see, like, hey, the Jills just answered another phone call for you, and another, and another, and another. Thanks, y'all.
And another.
Booyah.
Yeah, I was they've moved into a new building recently, and I got the opportunity to go out there to see their new facility, and it is legit. It's so nice, and he just has the best people that work for him. They're just like the friendly they're just the people like you would expect. Like they're just like Brant. They're just like the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
And they really take, and they've got some really cool stuff that they're going to be doing, and I'm excited for them and their company. We use them for like our the fire and flood restoration company. So they answer all the emergency calls and all that kind of fun stuff, and just take the burden off of the team.
I view so I feel the same way about Responsibid in Kurt's business and Jill's office, and it reminds me of there's a gas station chain in the Midwest called Quick Trip. Quick Star if you're down in Iowa. I don't know what the hell's up with that.
That's weird.
But every time I go in there, it's like the cleanest gas stations. Every employee is so well trained and just on top of it, and they're all very coordinated. And like if you're like getting off the highway and you got to use a restroom or something, right? It's like there's certain gas stations you avoid going to, and there's certain gas stations you seek out. That's the gas station you seek out. There's plenty of gas stations out there where I feel like I'm as likely to get mugged or shot at by the employee of the gas station as I would from like some rando coming into that gas station. And at Quick Trip, like there's just none of those vibes, you know? And so
they're building
I feel like Jill's office is the Quick Trip of home service businesses.
They are. It's not like we out here on the East Coast, we have these things called Valeros, and that's the one where you're going to get stabbed.
Maybe by the employee. Maybe
probably
not by somebody.
Well, that's the only person there. Nobody else is going there, man.
You're either going to get stabbed or food poisoning, pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, at least they have a consistent brand.
We don't have a really good gas station. We have two out here called Sheetz and Wawa.
I was gonna say Wawa's pretty good.
Yeah, Wawa's solid.
They're okay, but sometimes they're just the bathrooms. There's no Buc-ee's. You know what I'm saying? There's no Buc-ee's bathroom out there.
But Buc-ee's is like a whole different level.
It's
like
a thing.
It's like a theme park. That's a damn theme park gas station.
Yes. When I went to the one in Denton, Texas, and it was like, this is a gas station. I can buy another flat top grill here. And all my groceries and all the clothing and hey, whatever else.
Beef jerky for days.
Dude, I'm excited. Ice fishing this year. On Ben and I's venison to-do list is some venison jerky this year. So we're going to have a whole pile of homemade venison jerky. Nice. I gotta get busy this weekend. I probably got at least one with that new muzzleloader I bought. I gotta drop at least one. Maybe two, just for more steaks, for more jerky. We'll see.
Yeah.
A bunch of dudes in a fish house could probably pile up a few pounds of jerky real quick, I bet.
We ate it last time.
That I didn't have any jerky last time though. I just had the sticks. We went through the sticks.
The sticks were good.
Yeah. But now we'll see if I can double down with some jerky. I've never made jerky before. Not like we made jerky one time, but like usually with venison, it's like you grind it and then you mix it and then you use a jerky gun to like lay it out on wax sheets. This
Yeah.
is going to be like a steak, whole muscle, meat slicer, cut in strips, marinated, dehydrated, like you would get a piece of beef jerky. We're going to do that with some veni. So we're going to see how
Instead
that
of some old dried meat.
Hey, here you go. Here you go, Rob, right here. 755 calls.
Thank you very much, Brett. That was way more efficient. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Stacking them up. Maynard, what now that Rob's here and we're gonna get totally derailed, before we get totally derailed,
I would never do that.
Is there anything we missed? Anything else you got going on that we got to talk about? Anything good, anything bad, anything ugly? What didn't we catch up on?
No, I think we've caught up on about everything. One thing that I'm super excited about coming up December 6th is Wealthy Winter. So we've got a bunch of people and it's just a free webinar. It's like all day webinar. You just sign up at wealthywinter.com and then you just get access all day for free. And there's going to be a lot of people talking about just, different things, like things they've done in their business to help get through the winter, tips, tricks, and it's going to be a really cool lineup. Jared Skinner, I'm going to interview him and talk about door knocking.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So we talk about that. I'm going to interview Marvin Salcido, talk about acquisitions. I do a talk about finding like your perfect employee, and kind of what the steps are there, and making sure your business is like even ready for like the perfect employee if you haven't hired somebody yet. Or if you've hired somebody, like I went through, like I said, when I first started my power washing company, I went through like several employees because I was like, do you know how to power wash stuff? Cool. Yeah, go power wash stuff. It didn't work out.
This is how you start the machine, and these are tips.
Yeah. So he lied. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, have an employee lie and say they could do something they couldn't do.
No way.
Yeah. So funny story. This one guy I hired. Oh, geez. So this was a house in my neighborhood. So I lived when I started the company, I lived in a fairly decent neighborhood, and everybody had like these decks that the builder had put on the back of their house, and so one of my neighbors needed their house washed and they needed their deck cleaned. So I talked to the guy and I said, okay, do you know how to wash a deck? And he's like, absolutely, done it a bunch, not a problem. Cool.
I got it, boss.
I got it. Yeah, no problem, boss. I got you. And he calls me. He goes out there like 8 o'clock in the morning. He calls me at about 3 or 4, and he goes, the power washer's out of gas. I need more gas. I'd filled up the power washer that morning, and I was thinking, I think can go like a whole day. What's the problem? So I like Cash App or Venmoed him some money so he could go get gas. He got gas, brought it back, continued on. And I was like, are you almost done? He's like, yeah, almost, just wrapping up. Not a problem. Just wrapping up meant I'm just getting started on this deck. He washes the deck, and he,
at this point, how long had he been there for?
Oh, good 8-9 hours.
Like, what was he doing that whole time?
He was pressure washing the deck very closely, and
red tip.
Oh, it wasn't as bad as a red tip because I didn't have any of those on the truck. I was smart enough, I think, at that point to take all the red tips. He had a fan tip, but he had that fan tip at about 1/4 inch from the deck and just eating it up. So he pulled all the softwood out of that deck. The entire thing.
Let me get one more layer. Let me just get her way down and clean.
So I'm coming home from work from my 9 to 5, and I see my truck like out in the street, still like washing a deck at like 5 o'clock. And I was like, oh, this is a problem. So I stopped there and I walk around the back of the house, and he goes, I think I furred it up a little bit. And I look at the deck and I was like, yeah, you furred that deck up real bad. You furred it up bad. And
those are the exact words, folks.
You can pet it.
Yeah. Yo, it was bad. I mean, it was gnarly. You couldn't sand it. Had to replace the entire deck. And had to let the guy go. Obviously, that was his last day. And yeah, and luckily I knew the guy, and he was like, all right, here's what we can do. I'll help you rebuild this deck. And I was like, thank you. I had never built a deck before, but me and him went out there. We rebuilt this deck, and I paid for the material, and me and him were the labor. And luckily, he was a nice guy. Bad news bears, man.
Damn.
That's what
boys. That's why you can't trust anybody to work anymore. Speaking of hiring employees, so you don't screw it up. I just did like the hour before we came on here. I was telling you, Maynard, I spent an hour talking to Kelphus, hashtag Untrapped Podcast. Go check it out. And laid down all the things that I've learned over the years, similar to stories you've just told. And our group interview process that we do. So if you're out there listening and you do need to go figure out your hiring process, in addition to checking out the Wealthy Winter, go check out Keith's podcast and listen to the one that I don't know when he'll drop it here. It'll probably be a couple weeks yet. But just all about recruiting employees and trying to find the right ones. Because if you can get that right, it just makes your life so much easier. So much easier. Yeah. And if you get it wrong, it makes your life suck. Those are two totally different things, and you don't want your life to suck. Just in general, I've learned better when
Maynard, I'll say I had a guy that this is again a long time ago that it was like, hey man, come meet me at these baseball fields. We got to clean these dugouts. And of course, back then I'm still working at Verizon, and training was basically like, here's a machine, spray the water at this, clean it all off. Like we weren't really using chemicals or anything. And so I go back by there the next day after he's gone out and done the work. And he's like, yeah, it's all done. Cool, man. Leaves the keys, leaves the, trailer and truck at the house. And I go out there. I'm like, nothing's done. And so in this like big area, there's 4 ballparks or little league fields all right together. Big parking lot. He went to a completely different set of ball fields. There's just 2. Now we were at 4, and I was like, all right, so tomorrow you clean this one and this one. I'm getting these 2 done today, and you do these ones. He goes to these ones that have no concrete. They have just a chain link fence and then like a bathroom building. Doesn't even remotely look like the same thing. And I'm like, dude, you met me here. Like we were here physically. I didn't just say like, go to Dan's ball field. Like if I tried to go figure out where like Dan's daughters played soccer from that one time, like when I was up visiting.
Yeah, good luck finding that.
I'm not finding that. There was like 85 turns and like, but I could tell you if you like, hey, I remember roughly where we parked and what it kind of looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're there, you can be like, yep, this is the right place.
Yeah, this is definitely it. Otherwise, all the schools in Minnesota look exactly the same. But I was like, dude, you cleaned the man, I'm gonna mail you a check. Man, I could do better. No, you literally went to the wrong place, and then he straight red tipped the shit out of the one dugout. So it was a mess
of a place you weren't even supposed to be cleaning.
Yeah, it was the wrong place. So it wasn't even like
because he just went vandalized.
People just show up and go, "What the crap happened here?"
Yeah, well, and then I tried to see because it was like for the county instead of like a private little league field, and I was like, maybe the county will like give me credit towards like beer fest tickets or something, so like I can get something out of this. Nothing came out of it. We just wasted, Fortunately, it wasn't too much then.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. It's just the things that happen. I've heard of guys that own roofing companies that they went out and the guys ripped the wrong roof off the house. They ripped the neighbor's roof off.
Dude, I hope all my neighbors got like new roofs recently, but State Farm wouldn't buy me a new one, and I wish somebody would have done that. That would have been nice if they screwed up and did my house instead.
So he should have done when the first crew showed up at your neighbor's house. Be like, oh, wrong house. Come
whoa. Hey. You must have wrote a number down wrong.
We had guys where
my name is Chad. Yeah, I'm Chad.
GPS told him to stop at this house. You have arrived.
Yeah.
And these guys are blazing up in the garage. Just like garage doors open. They're like, yeah, man, hey, do you think you could close the garage door so we can go get power washing this? And they're like, yeah. And so they close the garage doors.
we washed the wrong house. And the person's like, it doesn't look any better than it did before. Like, GPS, they were definitely there. They're like, oh, they washed the house for the deadbeats that don't pay any of the HOA dues. Send them a bill. Please send them a bill. So we sent one. I don't think they ever paid anything, but like they were just like, yeah, man, these guys are gonna power wash our house. This is awesome. Like,
The HOA must be paying for it, man.
yeah, exactly.
How cool is that? Yeah, we've definitely like, I mean, multiple times we've cleaned the wrong house's windows in the Twin Cities, but the best is when the homeowner comes over.
When you do the interior windows on the wrong house,
I don't know if we've ever
you
done
get
that.
charged with breaking and
Done
entering.
like a big house on the outside, and the neighbor that we were supposed to do it came over and was like, "Hey, I thought, like, are you guys running behind? I'm surprised you haven't started yet." And our employee was just like, "Oh no, like what? Which house is your house? What's your address? Because I only have one job to do over here." And it slowly sank in, and just, I mean, they were at the wrong house for 6 hours.
But
and it was a full day job. They're just cleaning their ass off, and it was like, oh no, I guess I'll get started and we'll be back tomorrow. And like,
at least with window cleaning, they'd be like, yes, so Mr. Plato, we gave you a free demo on 75% of your windows. Would you like to pay us for the last 25%?
So if you want us to finish that up, sorry for creeping. Sorry for being. Other than that,
goodness,
enjoy your nice windows. Rob, are you changing gears totally? Are you making it out ice fishing? You got flights booked?
Yeah, man, I booked the flights like 5 episodes ago. You're like, hey, are you coming? And then I was like, Southwest, let's make this happen.
Yeah, you're right. You did.
I did do that, man.
I need to get a list going here. No, we're starting to fill up. I think our boy Zach Vernon's coming. He's in. Who else is coming?
Is Danny Lear going to be there?
Danny was like 50-50. He wasn't sure.
Danny needs to be 100%.
I agree. I know Cole and Claire, and I think Dave Jarrett's flying out. Clay sent me a message. He said Dave Jarrett's in the house and he's coming. And I was like, I haven't talked to Dave in like 2 years probably.
I thought Dave was dead.
I have just not heard a lick from that guy in forever.
Yeah, years.
But apparently Clay is keeping in touch with him and said he's coming. The Bobster is probably out. He was looking at it, but he thought he was probably out. I think Brad Williams is coming. And I
just text Danny. Said ice fishing, make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. I think Ben Gregory might be coming. He was checking the dates. Cole Sycophus is coming. My boy Cole from Ohio, he's coming out. He'll probably actually like fish and stuff. He'll be weird because he's just so damn outdoorsy. And then JC and Angela are coming. I got to make sure we have enough spots and trucks to get everybody up there. But we'll probably have 2 rental fish houses this year. I'll have my house and then 2 rental fish houses.
Well, can't you just like put like inner tubes behind it and just like pull the people like across the snow?
I mean, we're still driving on roads for 5 hours.
Oh.
Yeah. You got to go to his house and then you land in Minneapolis. You go to Dan's house and it's like, all right, when are we going to start fishing? No, we have to drive for 5 hours north. I was like, 5 hours north from Minneapolis? Is that not Canada?
It's damn near.
Damn near close.
You can see
it. When do we get the sled dogs? Are the sled dogs going to happen?
I mean, sometimes you'll run into wolves out on the lake, so we can just chain them up and throw a 2 behind them and call it a sled dog.
Oh, let's do that.
That'd be sweet. Let's go grab some timber wolves.
Tell Danny, hey, it's CrossFit. Just go. Just run.
Dude, that was Danny's favorite part, was chipping out the wood blocks last year that froze in. He was 2 years ago.
He was loving it.
Just getting that workout in. We'll let him do all the cranking and banking. Because you got to crank, for people not privy to the ice fishing terms, you got to crank the fish house down, and then you got to throw snow all the way around it to insulate the bottom of it. You got to crank it and bank it. Danny'd be down for that. He'd love that stuff. We'll give him all the work to do.
Yeah. Hopefully the wind's not blowing 1,000 miles an hour this time. That was wild.
It'd be nice to not have a torrential blizzard coming at us. But at the same time, like, part of that is awesome too. Like, part of that is part of the experience. It's the same as we were talking about earlier. Like, don't overlook the process of scaling a business. Like, enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. There's going to be bumps in the road, but if you're so concerned about getting to $1 million, the workload to get there is not going to seem that enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
If you, it's cool to have the goal and everything, but like the why and enjoying that process to get there, It's so easy to overlook, but it's so important from a mindset standpoint. Ice fishing is the same way. Like, there is not an ice fishing season that goes by without just a hilarious amount of mishaps. Like, it's cold as shit and equipment breaks. Like, generators break, augers break, tires go flat, blah, blah, you name it. Like,
Generators need fuel.
enjoy the damn process. It's part of the fun. It's like the workload is part of the fun. You just got to live it.
Yep.
All right, dudes. What else we got? Anything else we got to hit on?
Not for me, man. I got to be up in a few hours, so I'm on East Coast time.
Yeah, you guys are crazy for staying up.
I gotta be at a job. So, Maynard, we got 2 jobs done in Chincoteague tomorrow.
Oh wow!
What the hell did you
like
just say?
Chincoteague.
We have Chincoteague and Assateague.
And yeah,
They both sound pretty shitty to me.
yeah. And then
That's
there's
kinda like-
Assawoman Bay.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the Outer Banks of Virginia, Maryland area.
Yeah,
All right.
but there's not many houses there. There's
No.
wild ponies.
There's a lot of wild ponies.
Oh, strap one up.
Yeah,
Take it for a
but
spin.
yeah, it's
Like sled dogs. There's your sled dogs right there. Bring some wild ponies out.
We got a lady with like I don't know. She went from like about a $44,000 install to like 7,500, and she's got tripping issues. And I'm like, and she's got like a half-mile driveway with
trees on the whole side. So I was like,
no.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just try and get out there at like 7, and then do this install in Chincoteague and be done.
Yeah,
It's like just I'm going because I can't send anybody else there. Like they install the lights, and
you might need to have an electrician on standby.
she's already had the electrician like check stuff, and I guarantee, like, she's like, yeah, they ran wire across the driveway. I'm like, you don't need to do that. She's got power other places. It'd be really nice because it's like they're offset trees, so you just want to zigzag the whole way down the driveway. But no, instead we use like 800 feet of X wire and make it happen.
yeah.
It's got a big old breaker box.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Thanks for hanging out. Maynard, thanks
Yep.
for jumping on. Rob, thanks for the guest appearance, the episode extender. Good
Yep.
chat with you guys. Home service homies. You guys know what to do. Work smarter and harder. Go earn some pride. Finish the year strong. Go get them. We'll catch you next week back here on Home Service Happy Hour. Peace.
See you.